Imagine growing a forest on a rooftop. Sounds impossible, right? But urban gardeners are doing just that. Urban gardening, the practice of cultivating, processing, and distributing food in or around a village, town, or city, is transforming the concrete jungles we live in. And here's a fact that might surprise you. Urban gardens can yield more produce per square foot than traditional farms. So, urban gardening is not just feasible, it's revolutionizing how we live in cities. So you have a small space and a big gardening dream. Where do you start? Well, the first step in actualizing your urban oasis is to assess the space you have. Look around. What do you see? A balcony, a fire escape, a windowsill, or perhaps a small backyard? Each of these spaces, regardless of size, holds potential for a garden. Now let's talk about maximizing the available space. One effective approach is vertical gardening. Think trellises, hanging baskets, and green walls. You'd be surprised how much greenery you can pack into a small space when you start thinking upwards. Another strategy to consider is container gardening. With this method, you can grow a variety of plants in pots and containers, offering flexibility and the ability to move your green companions around to catch the best sunlight. Remember, gardening is not just about the space you have, but how you use it. With a bit of planning, even the tiniest space can become a thriving green oasis. Not all plants are created equal, especially when it comes to urban gardening. It's like choosing your best companions for a long journey. You want to pick those that can thrive in your unique urban environment, tolerating constraints like limited space, less natural sunlight, and potentially air pollution. Look for varieties that are high yield and low maintenance. Think about leafy greens like spinach and lettuce, or herbs like basil and rosemary. These are compact, quick-growing, and can be harvested repeatedly throughout the season. Then there are dwarf varieties of fruiting plants like tomatoes and peppers, designed specifically for small spaces. Don't forget root vegetables like radishes or carrots, which grow downwards and make excellent use of vertical space. But remember, the best plants for your garden will depend on your specific conditions. So take the time to understand your space, your climate, and your soil. It's a bit like matchmaking, finding the perfect green companions for your urban garden. Choosing the right plants can make or break your urban garden. Now let's get our hands dirty. Preparing soil for your urban garden is a vital step that should not be overlooked. A well-prepared soil mixture will provide your plants with the nutrients they need to grow strong and healthy. Start with a base of good quality potting soil, and enrich it with compost or well-rotted manure. This will provide a slow release of nutrients to your plants over time. For planting, remember that different plants have different needs. Some plants, like tomatoes and peppers, prefer to be planted deep, while others, like lettuce and spinach, prefer to be planted shallow. Always check the planting instructions for your chosen plants. Don't forget about the importance of proper spacing. Even in a small space, plants need room to grow. Overcrowding can lead to problems with disease and pest infestations, so remember, the secret to a successful urban garden lies in the soil. A good start in the soil can lead to a bountiful harvest. Water is life, but in an urban garden, it can also be a challenge. In a bustling cityscape where every square inch matters, managing water efficiently is crucial. But don't worry, there are innovative solutions to this. One such solution is self-watering systems. These are ingenious devices that deliver water directly to the plant's roots, ensuring they get just the right amount, and saving you time and effort. Then there's drip irrigation. This method slowly drips water onto the soil surface, reducing evaporation and promoting deep root growth. It's like giving your plants a slow, refreshing drink. Remember, overwatering can be as harmful as underwatering. It's all about balance. Use moisture meters or simply stick your finger in the soil to check if it's time to water. These techniques not only conserve water but also help you grow a lush, productive garden in your urban space. Smart water management can keep your urban garden thriving without wasting a drop. In an urban garden, you're not just growing plants, you're also growing an ecosystem. This ecosystem, if balanced, can become a natural pest deterrent. Let's explore how. First, consider diversifying your plant selection. A variety of plants attracts a wide range of beneficial insects that can keep those pesky pests in check. Next, think about companion planting. Some plant pairs naturally help each other, deterring pests and promoting growth. Basil and tomatoes make a great duo. Basil repels mosquitoes and flies while tomatoes enjoy the company. Now let's touch on pollination. In the heart of a bustling city, pollinators might be scarce, but you can encourage them. Planting flowers rich in nectar like marigolds or sunflowers can attract bees and butterflies, aiding in pollination. And remember, a healthy garden is a resilient garden. Regular watering and proper nutrition can help your plants withstand pests. A balanced ecosystem is the best pest control, so let's nurture that ecosystem together. Let's maximize your harvest with some pro tips. First up, companion planting. This age-old practice involves pairing plants that benefit each other. Marigolds with tomatoes, for instance, can deter harmful pests. Next, let's talk about succession planting. This technique keeps your garden productive. Once you harvest a plant, immediately plant a new one in its place. This ensures a continuous supply of fresh produce. Now, on to sunlight. Remember, most vegetables need at least 6 hours of sunlight a day. Monitor your space to see where the sun hits the longest and position your plants accordingly. If your space is shaded, opt for crops that thrive in less sunlight, like lettuce or spinach. Keep in mind, these are just guidelines. Every garden has its unique quirks, so don't be afraid to experiment. Pay attention to what works best in your own urban oasis. With these tips, you can enjoy a bumper crop in your urban garden. Sustainability isn't just a buzzword, it's a necessity for urban gardening. As we delve deeper into urban gardening, it's crucial to discuss the role of sustainable practices such as composting and recycling. These aren't just environmentally friendly actions, they're the lifeblood of a thriving urban garden. Composting, for instance, is a fantastic way to reduce kitchen waste while enriching your garden soil. It's a win-win situation. You're not only cutting down on waste but also creating nutrient-rich compost that your plants will love. Recycling, on the other hand, can take many forms in an urban garden. Old containers can become planters, discarded pallets can be transformed into vertical gardens, and even old newspapers can serve as biodegradable pots for seedlings. Incorporating these practices can make your garden not only more productive but also more sustainable. And remember, every little bit helps. Going green in your urban garden can make a big difference. Urban gardening isn't a solitary pursuit. It's a community movement. It's about sharing the joy of green spaces, the triumph of a bountiful harvest, and the collective wisdom of gardeners. It's about transforming concrete jungles into lush green landscapes, one balcony, one rooftop, one backyard at a time. Local gardening communities are the heart of this movement. They are platforms for exchange, learning, and collaboration. They are places where novice gardeners can learn from seasoned green thumbs, where innovative ideas are born, and where the magic of nature is celebrated. These communities are not just about plants. They're about people. They're about building connections, fostering friendships, and creating a sense of belonging. They're about working together to make our cities greener, healthier, and more sustainable. So don't just garden, be part of a movement. Share your space, your knowledge, your passion. Join the urban gardening community and grow together. Now let's see what's possible with urban gardening. Let's talk about success stories that may inspire you. Consider the story of a retiree living in a high-rise apartment in New York City. She transformed her tiny balcony into a green oasis, growing everything from herbs to tomatoes in repurposed pots and containers. Despite the limited space, her garden flourishes, providing her with fresh produce and a tranquil retreat from the city's hustle and bustle. Or take the example of a group of neighbors in San Francisco who turned a barren rooftop into a lush community garden. They grow a variety of vegetables and flowers, utilizing vertical gardening techniques and efficient water management systems. Not only has this garden become a source of fresh produce, but it has also fostered a sense of community among the residents. Then there's the story of a young couple in London who converted their small backyard into an urban farm. They incorporated sustainable practices like composting and recycling, and now their garden yields enough produce to feed their family and share with their neighbors. These stories illustrate what's achievable with a bit of creativity, determination, and a love for gardening. From balconies to rooftops to tiny backyards, every small space holds the potential to become a thriving green oasis. So, are you feeling inspired yet? Whether you're living in a city apartment or have a small backyard, don't let space limitations discourage you. If anything, let them challenge you to think creatively and explore the wonders of urban gardening. Remember, it's not just about the harvest. It's about the joy of nurturing life, the satisfaction of growing your own food, and the tranquility that a personal green space can bring amidst the concrete jungle. So start planning your urban garden today. Seek advice, learn from others, and don't be afraid to experiment. Join the urban gardening community. Share your journey, your successes, and even your failures. Because every step you take, every seed you plant, brings you closer to your own green oasis. Start your urban gardening journey today. Your small space holds big possibilities.